Okay, are we online? We're online. Right, okay, welcome everyone to our July OCM. I'd like to start by acknowledging traditions of the Nala people on whose land we are gathered today for this meeting. And also just notify all attendees that this meeting will be live streamed and a recording of the meeting will be made. Item 2 on the agenda is our record of attendance, of which we have everyone. Is there no one online? No council. This is great. Everyone is in the room and accounted for. Executive, and we have our Director of Corporate Commercial, Warren, online.
Welcome to Andrew's.
Welcome to Andrew's been here, with part of this team for so long. I just
you skipped over.
Seeing Andrew all the time. Yeah, welcome, Ange. Okay, item 3 is public question time, of which we don't have any come through.
No.
Right. 4 is petitions, deputations, and presentations, of which we have none. 5 is our requests for leave of absence. Does anyone need a request for leave for the next council meeting? No. 6 is declarations of interest. So we'll just run through as listed all those councillors and or staff that have declarations of interest. So Councillor Furlong, would you like to begin?
Yes, I have an indirect financial interest in 12.1 and 12.3. 12.1 is the Wickham Recreation Precinct multi-purpose course shade request for calls for tender. My husband is an employee of Rio Tinto. And same for 12.3, the Wickham Oval Car Park and Playing Surface Earthworks. The tender outcome, as my husband is an employee of Rio Tinto.
Thank you, Councillor Furlong. Councillor Gillam.
I too have an interest in 12.1 and 12.3, as outlined by Councillor Furlong, because my husband is also an employee of Rio Tinto and those assets under consideration are owned by Rio.
Thank you. And Councillor Nunn.
Also have an interest, indirect financial interest in 12.1 and 12.3. My husband works for Rio Tinto and I manage a Rio Tinto partnership through my own employment. And I also have an impartiality interest in item 12.4 for the Boston's maintenance compounds and shed upgrade as Karratha Country Club is a regional affiliate member of Voluntary WA.
Thank you, Councillor Nunn and Councillor Roots.
Yes, I have an indirect financial interest in 12.1 and 12.3, and the nature of the interest is my partner is employed.
Thank you. Councillor Waterstrom Muller.
Impartially, Alex's interest is 12.4 Karratha Golf Course maintenance compound shed upgrade. Is a request for calls for tenders on a paid social member contract.
Hey, Councillor Swaffer, you have a couple.
Yeah, just impartiality interest in 12.1 we can represent, and the call for tenders in 12.5 Kevin Richards Memorial Master Plan Revision. As I'm the Vice President of Karratha Basketball Association and have been involved in prior consultation in this capacity and may utilise the facilities as part of the association in the future.
Thank you, Swaffer. And we also have a couple of declarations from our CEO.
Yes.
There's a couple of things being picked up in the agenda.
Yes. So just for transparency, my husband is employed by a marketing business called Impact Digi, and they are providing marketing services to the city and are also a tenant of the quarter. So I have a indirect financial interest on both parts because my husband is an employee. I don't need to leave the room because I'm not a decision maker today, but just for council and public's awareness, I'm excluded from any decision or visibility of decisions relating to Impact Digi within the city's environment. So marketing services decisions are made by others, and when the tenancy discussion and leasing discussions occurred, I was excluded from that. So effectively there's firewalls between me and anything related to Impact Digi. So I'll continue to declare that because they are included in financial statements, and just to let you know how it works.
Thank you, CEO. Okay, then moving on to item number 7 is the confirmation of minutes and business arising from minutes of the previous meetings. The officer's recommendation on page 6. As at the minutes of the ordinary meeting of council held on Monday the 30th of June 2025 be confirmed as true and correct record of proceedings. Can someone move that? Councillor Simpson, seconded Councillor Gillum. No one's against the minutes from the previous meeting. Right, that is carried. Item 8 is announcements by person presiding that discussion, which I have nothing. 9 is corporate and commercial reports, with 9.1 being the statements for period ending 31st of May 2025, with the officer's recommendation on page 7. And as the council received the financial statements for the financial period ending 31st of May 2025, as shown in attachments 1 through to 4. Can I have someone move this motion?
I'm happy to move that.
Mr. Simpson, someone to second the motion. Councillor Furlong, anyone against that motion? Councillor Simpson, do you want to speak to our statements?
No, I think it's all above board and looking very good.
That. Okay, that is carried. 9.2 is the list of accounts from the 1st of May 2025 to 31st of May 2025. With the officer's recommendation on page 16, and there's a council received the list of payments totaling $13.8 million as detailed in attachments 1, 2 and 3, and being made up of listed on the agenda 1 through 7. And just for the public's note and those online, and just the interest of saving time and saving the amount of words that I can vocabulate. I will be referencing that this agenda is available online, and we will working in the future that what we have on screens here can be available live streamed as well, so that people can view the agenda and I don't have to run through, for example, how many properties are exempt from rates. Right, so the officer's recommendation is there in front of you on page 16. Can I have someone move the list of accounts? Councillor Shamala, seconded Councillor Simpson. Anyone against that? No. Councillor Shamala.
Just obviously from our briefing a few weeks ago, it was just great to get the feedback on the items that the councillors had requested further information on, so it was well received. Thank you.
Yeah, there's always the extra detailed information that sometimes we question, and the public briefing is a great way to air all that out and get our answers. Okay, that is carried. 9.3 is our investments for period ended 31st of May 2025, with the officer's recommendation on page 20. And as the council received the investment report for the financial period ending 31st of May 2025. Can I have someone move this motion?
I'm happy to move that, Mr.
Councillor Simpson, someone to second it. Councillor Gillum. Is anyone against our investments for the period? No. Can I speak for the motion? No. They pick very well, as they do every month.
Yes.
Right, that is carried. 9.4 is the review of council policies, of which we have the officer's recommendation on page, was it 27 and 28, and that we adopt the amended policies for the election caretaker period. We've got our councillor fees, allowances, reimbursement policy, our significant decision-making policy, and then we adopt a couple of new policies, and that's the artificial intelligence usage policy and our social media policy. And we're also going to repeal the policy, council policy for attendance at events, as this is included in council policy CGO6 councillor fees. Can I have someone move this motion? Councillor Swaffer, someone to second it. Councillor Furlong. Is anyone against the motion? Councillor Swaffer, would you like to speak for the motion?
It's good to see that we are modernising our governance framework to have the inclusion of the social media policy and AI policy, and regular reviews just ensure that our policies remain aligned and best practice and responsive to our emerging trends.
Yeah, there you go. Here we are in local government, creating policies around artificial intelligence. Isn't that going to be a rapid journey we're all about to be a part of? Right, if there's no one against it, that is carried. 9.5 is the membership to external advocacy bodies, with the officer's recommendation on page 33. And there's a council support the continued membership to the following organisations, and that is the Australian Mining Cities Alliance, the Regional Capitals Alliance WA, Regional Capitals Australia, and the Northwest Defence Alliance, and approve the Mayor and CEO or proxy representation, and approve the membership fees and associated travel costs to these bodies. Can I have someone move this motion? Councillor Nunn, someone to second it? Councillor Gillam. Is anyone against this motion? No. Councillor Nunn, would you like to speak for it?
Just reflecting on our those of us that attended the Development Northern Australia conference, I think one of the key takeaways was really around working together, how big our voice can be when there is more of us speaking the same message. So I'm really supportive of being involved. I think it would be really great to take the opportunity to try and get more larger councils from across the north to get involved. I think the bigger the population base, the more voice we will have. And it'd be great to make sure we keep an eye out on other possibility membership bodies that we should all join.
Thanks, Councillor Nunn. Councillor Gillam, would you like to add anything further?
Only to add to Councillor Nunn's comments that I've seen this work in action when I've been included as part of the City of Karratha, and it really works. And these vehicles, these memberships, is what gets us in the door to be able to advocate for what we need and get in front of government ministers, both federal and state. So yeah, highly supportive.
Yeah, thank you. And these groups that we're a part of, they represent the areas that are more lowly populated, right? So our voice is not heard individually as much because we just don't count towards the state or national vote. So the reason we're part of these is, as Councillor Nunn was suggesting, is that we get together as a group. We're a stronger voice and a united front to try and face similar challenges that are faced not only regional West Australia but regional Australia. Appreciate the support because there is a big journey that regional Australia needs to go on to get our fair share of all the royalties and taxes that goes to our city counterparts. Okay, so there's no one against that motion. That is carried. 9.6 is the long-term financial plan with the officer's recommendation on page 44. And there's a council by simple majority pursuant to section 5.56 of the Local Government resolved to adopt the long-term financial plan 2025 to 2035. I have someone move this motion. Councillor Waterstrom-Muller, someone to second the motion. Councillor Swaffer, anyone against our long-term financial plan? No. Councillor Waterstrom-Muller.
Yes, just great to no, I think it's all good. It's really good to see us considering all our strategic directions and priorities, and obviously everything that was identified from our strategic community plan brought into our long-term financial plan for the next 10 years. So it's good.
You, Councillor Swaffer.
Just to say thank you and appreciative of the briefings that we've received along the way from administration and the finance team.
Yeah, it's great that we've got a fairly significant capital works program as well as part of this long-term financial plan, which will, deliver some important infrastructure and developments for our community. So it's great that we're moving forward on these things. Right, there's no one against it, then that has carried. 9.7 is the annual budget. With the office recommendation on page 51, 53, 54, a big list. And that is that the council imposed the following differential general annual rates. And we have a letter here that came in today proving our transport transient workforce accommodation rate in a dollar. So no matter what day we do our council meeting to adopt this, it's always on the day we get the approval from the state government. What time did this come in?
4:30.
There you go. Just in line with
sweating today.
just in line with the fact that we're actually trying to adopt this today. So we've got approval, which is great. Okay, so to impose those differential general and mineral rates, noting importantly that in that table, the category for residential is the only rate category that we are moving forward with a 0% rate increase. All other categories will have a form of increase as tabled in the rate and the dollar in that table. And then item 2 of that is approve the due dates for the rate payment in full by instalments, and then also grant a concession in respect to the properties in Cossack, waive rates for community sporting associations, and then there are some exemptions for not rateable properties that are under the Local Government Act and on Crown land used for public purposes. Then we have not rateable for religious schools, not rateable for charitable purposes. And I think that is it. And these are all listed in the agenda, which is online. And then 6 of this adoption is to adopt the following rates payments, including a contribution of $1,500 for municipal funds towards this scheme and some prizes on offer for people. And then recommendation 2 is the elected members' fees and allowances for 25-26, as listed there as the statutory fees and allowances and the other expenses that are allowable per councillor. And then recommendation 3 is the material variance reporting for 25-26. And that is that we adopt the level to be used in statements of financial activity for reporting material variances being 10%. Or $100,000, whichever is the greater amount. And then recommendation 4 is the annual budget. That has got our comprehensive income, our statement of cash flows, a statement of financial activity, and the notes that form part of that budget are in there as well. So can I have someone move this enormous document that is going to set our executive and staff on a journey for the next 12 months?
I'm very happy to move.
Councillor Simpson, seconded. Councillor Gillum. Is there anyone? Actually,
There's a amendment.
there's an amendment. So that is on the table. So as you all have in front of you, there is an amendment for 9.7, for part of 9.7. So this amendment is for recommendation recommendation 2, which is the elected member fees and allowances. So this has been put forward by Councillor J. Hanson. So everyone has that in front of them, and it's basically to drop the annual attendance fee for the mayor, reduce the deputy mayor and councillor's fee. The annual allowance for the mayor has changed. And the rest remains.
So, Mr. Mayor, if I can just clarify a couple of things with the councillor from a statutory point of view. If I could
Yes.
just ask a question. So, Councillor Jane Hanson, the annual attendance fee of 51,412 for the mayor is less than the statutory minimum that's set by the Standards Tribunal, which is 57,404.
It might have been off last year's figures when I first looked at.
Yeah, so they get updated in April 2025. And the officer's comment has been updated to include, to provide that. So would you be, I suppose what I'm suggesting to you is that if you're wanting to strike it at the minimum, then the minimum would be 57,404.
No, those figures are fine. They match another council that I referenced for this.
I'm not 100% sure whether we can go below the statutory minimum that the Standards Tribunal.
If your minimum's 57 and I've said 60, I'm not below.
That's the allowance.
That's actually the mayor's allowance that you're referring to,
Yeah.
the minimum 57,404. I'm just looking up what the minimum band for the annual attendance fee is right now.
Yeah, I didn't. The sitting fee's
So
not.
perhaps I'm
You're referencing the allowance fee, which is 57, and I've said 60. So
okay.
I'm pretty sure I'm in the ballpark.
In the range, okay.
Right.
I might be talking to the wrong
Yep.
number. Yes.
Yeah, so the sitting fee is minimum 25 is 50.
Okay.
To maximum 50.
All right. Thanks. Apologies for that. I only picked this up at 5:30, so I was trying to get my head across it. So,
Sent it through last November as well.
oh no, that's fine. I'm just saying if this document came to me today, so I'm happy to stand corrected. So thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, no problems. Okay, so we've got the motion on the floor, the original motion. We have an amendment put forward by Councillor Johansson to that motion. Can I have someone move that amendment? Councillor Johansson, someone to second it? No one to second it? Okay, well, that amendment has fallen away. We go back to our substantive, which was the motion that I spoke to in front of us, of which we have a mover and seconder. Remind me who they will, please. Councillor Simpson, Councillor Gillum. Okay, Councillor. So is anyone against that motion? Councillor Johansson. Councillor Simpson, would you like to speak forward?
Yes, couple of things. It's been great work by the director in putting this all together. Financial planning is one, budget is another. To have such a hard combination this year with our GRBs, and I'll have to apologise to our ratepayers that unfortunately that is out of our hands. The value general has come across, and unfortunately under the Act we can only set 1 cent, and we've taken that to make zero increase on this year, and hopefully that should level it a bit, but there will be someone that out there that does get those increases, and I do feel for them, but unfortunately that's out of our hands. Process where we are now, but all in all, long-term plan, budget, we're all really excited the fact that we got something to mark against and grade against as we move forward.
Excellent, thank you, Councillor Simpson. And yeah, also I want to actually thank Councillor Simpson for those of us that weren't there. Councillor Simpson, Councillor Roots went to Gap Bridge and had a bit of a chance with the Minister for Housing, Mr. Carey, and land, and bringing up the fact that our GRB, the value, how they set our value here, is all over the place, and that we have written to the Valuer General, and that the Minister has requested that we update him as well on our ideas around potentially changing the way that our land is valued in the future in not just Karratha but in regional WA, where the metro model just does not suit our climate or our environment. Councillor Gillum, anything further to add?
Just quickly that I think the city is fortunate through good financial management to be able to keep the residential rates. So essentially what is a 0% increase, and the ratepayers of Karratha are very fortunate in that respect. Looking at what other LGAs have increased their residential rates by, as a ratepayer myself, I'm certainly feeling very grateful to not have an increase in my rates. My residential rates.
If anyone else would like to add any further commentary, I'll take it. Otherwise, if not, we'll pass that as, or put that as carried. Thanks very much. Okay, 9.8 is our key performance measures for 2025-26, with the officer's recommendation on page 69. And that is that council adopt the key performance measures for 25-26. Can I have someone move this motion? Councillor Swaffer, someone to second the motion? Councillor Roots. Is anyone against our key performance measures? No? Councillor Swaffer, anything to add?
I think it's great to see that all service areas are being measured within the new KPIs, which is refreshing to see. And also from a previous question that I asked to administration, it's good to know that KPIs can still be developed as we see as well. So for instance, the waste management and recovery, resource recovery strategy, which is currently still out. Once we get those findings back, we may be able to also put some measures in place to look at that service area a bit more in depth as well. So it's good to know that it's a moving beast.
Yes, very good point. Councillor Roots.
just to echo Councillor Swaffer, and also really looking forward to seeing these training begin for the administration and see these issues.
Okay, if there's no further comment, and that motion has carried. If we go into 10 community experience reports, of which there are no community experience reports for this month. So we'll move on to item 11, development services reports. 11.1 is the visitor, information servicing review with the office recommendation on page 74. And that is the council note the findings outlined in the Karratha visitor servicing findings and discussion paper, which is in attachment 1. We're going to endorse the Karratha visitor servicing review and recommendations report, the best practice model and implementation plan, which is in attachment 2. And 3, we're going to agree to the continuation of visitor servicing operations from the current location on DeWitt Road, as recommended in the final report. Can I have someone move this motion? Councillor Gillen, seconded. Councillor Willis-Ramallah. Is there anyone against this motion? No. Councillor Gillen, would you like to speak for visitors?
I appreciate that the Tulma group, the consultation that we got with them and when they dialed into our briefing and gave us all of the information of what they found, which is obviously in the agenda. And it was a very comprehensive review. And I think anyone involved in the community, we've got an idea what we'd love to do with that building, right? If it didn't house the visitor centre, obviously the review is telling us it needs to stay where it is, and that's what we need to do.
Yeah. I imagine in the future that they're building use for something different. I'd be excited if I'm still here to see what other uses it could be used for.
And the tanks, we've got plans for the tanks now.
Yeah.
Yes, I'd just like to add to Councillor Gillen's comments. I just think it's fantastic to come with a big long list of tourism ideas and basically encouraging new ideas to come into town. And I think it'd be great to see that we've also got the actions in there, the path moving forward. So we've got some short-term and long-term plans for tourism, which is fantastic. We've been talking about it for a long time, and just highlights what we do have here in the city of Karratha, and we can definitely leverage that for tourism.
Okay, there's no further commentary. That motion has carried. 11.2 is our housing development expression of interest for Bulgara Apartments, the consideration of the public submissions and the final investment decision. Now, I know, due to this being such a large item on our agenda, and that council are still, asking questions and having concerns around it, that I thought I might suspend standing orders in order for us to have a bit more of a broader discussion around this. So, for someone to move that, Councillor Simpson. On the second, Councillor Swaffer. Okay, so we have the office recommendation in front of us, which is listed 1 through to 7, and basically saying that we've had 55 public submissions, acknowledging that no submissions were received regarding the intention to borrow monies, of which we have an update on that, and then received the due diligence that was undertaken to minimise the risk, and then agreed to undertake a major land transaction to invest in Nan Street, Gregory Way and Ridley Street for the purpose of housing, approved the budget allocation of 505,000 to be funded by transfers from the infrastructure reserve to fund the gap in our budget, and then authorise the CEO to execute a loan with Westpac to borrow $56 million to fund the major land transaction, and then also authorise the CEO to execute a development agreement, loan agreement, and three times lease agreements with the proponent to facilitate the major land transaction. Questions?
Where would you like to start?
Yeah, well, like as we are aware around the table, I've sent through questions to administration more recently that we've had the response to. The biggest thing for me, I suppose, was question statement was, I feel like at the public briefing, as councillors, we asked some quite insignificant as such questions in relation to such a large transaction. However, we know as councillors around the table that a lot of due diligence and information has been provided to us at different briefings, some confidentially, some in the open forum. And I just wanted to be mindful that information has also been shared publicly so that when the community know that we've made a decision, we have based it on really relevant and a high level of information that we've been provided. So I don't know if you want me to run through all of my questions and have them answered. We're going to, I
think it's, if you want these things sort of on the record and it's in a public realm and they're sort of issues or concerns that you've all had, even regardless of what decision is going to be made, I think it's it's important to air those concerns you've had and then maybe allow the executive to have their response to those questions. So, for example, I know that we might have to do an amendment on item 2, right? Because we need to acknowledge that there was one submission regarding the intention to borrow monies, which you, Councillor Stoffer, raised. So that has been acknowledged by the executive.
And another one was regarding the independent cost review. One of my questions from the reports that we received was that an independent cost review should be undertaken. We've now also since received that document and had an opportunity to review it. So that was one of my questions as well.
Through the chair, if I may, just for the benefit of the public, that quantity surveyor's report will remain a confidential attachment because it's got some fairly significant detailed business information in it. It's commercial in confidence, but councillors have been provided with a copy of that today.
Another one of my questions was regarding recommendation 7, which was that that whether or not council get to review and endorse the 3 documents, the development agreement, loan agreement and the lease arrangements prior to the city moving forward on that. Just from given that one of our main risk mitigations was, the step-in process and also saying that we will embed the recommendations from the 2 reports we've received. And I suppose I'm learning as a new councillor, I'm still going to roll with that cap on, that, I hand that responsibility over to administration, that you've told us that you're going to implement those recommendations in those documents. So then that relieves that responsibility from us and over to administration and the CEO to execute that.
So through the chair, the response to Councillor Swaffer on that particular question was that the execution of documents is an operational or an administrative matter. It's not a strategic matter that council would ordinarily be required to consider. So if you choose to go ahead with this decision, it would be the responsibility of the CEO to enter into those agreements. But what I did also update Councillor Swaffer on was that those draft documents have been prepared by McLeod's lawyers on our behalf. So they have already been prepared by a property specialist legal firm.
Which was also one of my questions. So thank you, Director. Does anybody else want to jump in with any questions, or is it just going to continue to Great, I'll continue in the hot seat. The other questions I had was regarding the developer's equity and contribution into the project that's been flagged as a high risk. If the city can confirm whether it considers that the equity level is sufficient given the project scale and financial exposure, and if you've considered negotiating additional developer security.
Through the chair, the officers do consider it to be appropriate, otherwise we would not have recommended that council the investment.
There's some context around those that we went out for expression of interest. There's market failure. Developers can't get the finance. You build a house in Karratha, the value of it is worth less than what you paid for it immediately. So there's a gap in the market. Hence why we went down this path, I guess.
And through the chair, if I can just add also, it's impossible for us to present a proposal to you with zero risk.
Yeah.
So every proposal that we put to you is about discussing the risk, understanding the nature of the risk, why it's arisen. So as the Mayor just mentioned, there is a reason why this risk exists. And then also to understand how we've then proposed to mitigate and manage those risks. And as Councillor aware, we've had a lot of discussion around the layers of governance that we'll be putting around this proposal, not only now and during the development phase, but actually over the 20 years that this proposal will be a live project, and it's that concern and that risk is partly mitigated or in part mitigated by those controls that we.
I'd just like to state for the record, obviously we had 55 public submissions and a lot of questions were asked at our briefing about, obviously we understand people's concerns about being in those areas where these buildings will possibly be built. And yeah, obviously that was, about privacy, being taller buildings in a residential area. So yeah, obviously we were meeting all the building codes that wouldn't be allowed in any type of building, looking into people's yards. So all those concerns were covered, and there was also quite a lot about movement and stuff, and the roads are definitely able to handle the extra developments in those residential areas. So I suppose they were the main concerns that I took from the public submissions against the buildings. And I can see people that have been in those suburbs for quite a while, there's going to be a change for them. So I think just it's important for us to recognise that as council too.
I think Councillor Swart scored up some interesting points, and I think as us as council is trying to make a decision on a large amount of money, there's always nerves, and I think we've done all we can in checks and measures. But imagine the council in this chamber a few years ago voted to buy a building, which we know is a quarter. $20 million investment at the time was a big decision to make, and it has turned out to be good for us. At the moment, the number one issue right around Australia and regional Australia is housing. We can cry all we like and ask government, but we've got to step up to the plate and be part of that solution. Time will tell how we go, what the economy will do, but looking at that line we keep using during the Pilbara Summit, $250 billion in the projects in the pipeline coming tells me that housing will be needed. So it certainly goes a long way. Every time we've gone to market, we've had a good response from state government agencies, which tells they've got a shortage. And I look at that as a double-sided, that more government workers have, the more services they get in town as well. So in some way, that's where that market adds up. Obviously, there's still more work to be done in housing. Obviously, we know about our workforce accommodation, which is one of the key ones for us. That's still got more work to do, but I think today where I'm sitting, I'm comfortable that we've done all we can. Report that was really good to see a lawyer's perspective on our risk and evaluating it. At the end of the day, we're going to get bricks and mortar that we can jump in on at any time, and that's possibly not bricks, but probably not. A physical thing we can actually physically touch and feel, so possibly use the money on it, but I think we've done all we can. I'm comfortable as a council on voting on it.
Yeah, and it's, we've got to be progressive, right? We know what's in front of us. We know what's coming. We've done the community impact study with the Pilbara Development Commission. So we know we're 3,000 properties short. We know we've got a potential to grow by 30%. But all of these potential things won't happen if we sit idly in our hands and do nothing. The risk of doing nothing is that we'll have a continued growth in our FIFO market here, that people flying in and out, because the excuse for large companies and the FBT exemptions they get are to do exactly that. So if we want to buck the trend, then we do need to be the catalyst to create more development. And I think now if we went out for an expression of interest to the market again, I think you'd find that we'd have more people coming forward again. We need to continue to work with the state though on this, because one of the roadblocks in the near future is going to be our land. At the moment in Karratha, the only developer in Karratha is the state, and there are currently no blocks available to be sold. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done in advocating the state government say, hey, we're doing our bit, or we're trying to do our bit, but we can't be doing it alone because of the majority of the wealth that's generated here doesn't remain here. So if we want to capture some of that wealth, well, we need to grow our population. Any other?
I suppose from my point of view, that's exactly why you look at, I know all of the directors and everyone involved has done their due diligence and the governance will be spot on. But in the last 10 years as a community, our population is the one thing that has not grown. Everything else has grown significantly. So I feel we have to take a step to grow our population so that we can survive for the 2050 plan that we've all looked at extensively in growth.
Yeah.
Through the chair, if I may as well, Councillor Stopper also raised a question as to whether or not officers had considered any of the federal grant schemes available for housing development. So the response to Councillor Swaffer is that there's two potential streams that may have been suitable, which was the HAF, or the Housing Australia Future Fund, which has had 2 rounds over the last probably 18 months. Neither of them were applicable to us. We did support 3 applications for builders that were partnering with community housing providers in round 1. None of them were successful, and the feedback we had from the feds in relation to that round was that our construction prices and our rent prices looked a little bit high, which is a bit disappointing. The second round of the HAF funding was only made available for social housing, so not this kind of stock. And then under the housing support program, we have actually had success with that program. So we got $400,000 in round 1 to put on housing officers, so including Adrian, who's sitting over there, who prepared this report for us, and a little over 21 million through the community. I'm going to get my acronyms wrong. The second round, yep. Community enabling infrastructure. We were successful getting the nearly $22 million towards the Mullatarga subdivision. So we've done quite well out of the housing programs, but they're not applicable for this kind.
Thank you, Director. I think that's probably the other thing too for community to know is that it's not social housing. So people that I've spoken to in the community were concerned it was going to be that route of social housing. So it's good to know for the community that it's.
Yeah, simple fact of the matter is we need more stock.
Mm-hmm.
We need more stock in apartments, we need more stock in 3x2s, 4x2s, 1x1s. We just need more. Okay, so if everyone's comfortable of where they're at and questions and answers have been brought forward, we will go back into standing orders. Someone move to go back into standing orders. Councillor Furlong, seconded Councillor Simpson. Okay, right. So we have the recommendation in front of us. Can I have someone move? Councillor Simpson, seconded. Councillor Waterstrom-Muller. Is there, is there anyone against this motion?
Did you want to amend?
Councillor Jansen, yes, I want to make an amendment though, based on Councillor Swaffer finding that there was one submission. So we need to amend item 2, which is acknowledge that one submission was received regarding the intention to borrow monies to invest. Is that wording satisfactory, Councillor Swaffer?
Dismissed, Mayor.
Okay, so the amendment is everything remains the same from 1 through to 7, except recommendation 2 is that we acknowledge that one submission was received regarding the intention to borrow monies to invest in a proposed development. So can I ask someone move the amendment? Councillor Furlong, seconded Councillor Simpson. Anyone against the amended motion? No? Okay, well, that is now the, we have to go back to the substantive, so that is now the substantive motion. So Councillor Simpson, you're still happy with this motion? Councillor Waterstrom-Muller, second the motion. Anyone against this motion? Councillor Johansson. Okay, That is carried.
No, that's why
No?
we need to
What?
have a debate for and against.
Oh, yes, of course, sorry.
Get this-
There's so much going on.
I know.
Uh,
Councillor.
Councillor Simpson, would you like
Thank
to
you,
speak?
Mr. Mayor. Thank you very much. Great decision by council tonight to take this big step. As we just spoke about the issues to do with housing, we're in the forefront. I don't imagine too many regional councils around Western Australia taking this type of step. So I think the other part of it, we just moved a motion before about being part of groups. And when you go into those groups and you talk about what we're doing here today, it certainly elevates us with that. And also, talking to the government ministers that we have put some of our money into it and trying to resolve this issue. So it's one step.
Councillor Simpson. Councillor Johansson, would you like to speak against the motion?
I'll keep it short this time so the newspaper can't misquote me and stuff up the article again, mixing up two stories. Based on the information provided to me by council and the information provided to me by ratepayers, I just do not support this motion as it stands.
Thank you, Councillor Johansson. Councillor Wolshamel, would you like to speak for it?
Yes, I think we all have taken into consideration the risks considered with taking on such a large item. But I think it is a positive move forward for the city. Part of our the CEO's KPIs is about housing. We've done nothing but talk about housing. Even if we making this decision today, this housing will not be available till January 2027. So it's still a long process to get to the end of housing. We know there's a major shortage. We're still going to be short of maybe was it 900 to 2,000 houses possibly in the next 5 years. So I think this is only a small step. It's only 137 properties, 116 dwellings. So yeah, I just think it is a small step forward in a positive way to try and build our community. And we need lots of different types of services, different types of people to work in our communities to support us. So I think it's a positive move forward.
Well, Councillor Johansson, anything further? Okay, all right, well, just for clarification, let's put that to the vote. So all those for, and all those against. Okay, well done everyone, that motion has carried. All right. Time to dwell. 11.3 is the workforce accommodation at Madigan Road, Gapbridge. This agenda item has been pulled at the request of the applicant.
Please request that Madigan is rectified to say Madigan.
Oh, Madigan. Isn't that funny how your brain works? I just read Madigan straight away. Madigan. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, and then 11.4 is the road dedications for Madigan Estate intersection, which for reference is where the new Homemaker Centre is looking to go, and then the Hearsons Cove alignment, realignment, which is the turn off going into Hearsons Cove. It's the widening of that. The offer's recommendation is on page 100, and that's we resolve to request the Minister for Lands to dedicate the following land as public road. And that's the land in attachment 1 and the land in attachment 2. Advertise the proposal to dedicate those referred parcels as public road and require that any objections be received in response to advertising the two mentioned above, and that you walk back to council. And then 4, note that should no objections be received in response from the advertising, that the request will be referred to the Minister for Lands seeking dedication of the parcels of land. And then 5, consent to Main Roads and its contractor by accessing the drainage reserves for construction works. And 6, note that Main Roads indemnifies the City of Karratha and the Minister for Lands against any claims that may rise as a result of these road windings. And also 7, indemnify and keep indemnified the Minister for Lands and the indemnified parties against any costs or claims for compensation arise as a as a result of the dedication of those portions of land. Can I have someone move this motion?
Happy to move.
Councillor Simpson, someone to second it. Councillor Swaffer. Anyone against this motion? Councillor Simpson.
Just to add, this would be really good for the Madigan estate now to have a roundabout at both ends. It's left in, left out, have to cut through Leighton to get back out. So as that subdivision grows, we're seeing now they're ready to go for development. That will certainly help with that traffic flow through that subdivision. So great to see it coming along.
Just to echo, it's great to improve the connectivity. We talk about that in small scale and large scale, and I think this is one of those opportunities to better connect our suburbs.
Yeah, fantastic. And the Hastings Cove Road, I mean.
Yep.
Go into that, but and you got a wall that has a beach on it or something, winter. So you can go to industry. Anyway, that's a separate discussion. Okay, so there's no one against that. That motion has carried. So move on to 12, being projects and infrastructure, with 12.1, the Wickham Rec Precinct multi-purpose court shade.
Can I please request, given that 12.2 has been withdrawn, that we leave the room and don't come back to the end of 12.3?
Yes. Request granted. So for all those that have declarations of interest in 12.1 and well, if you don't, 12.1 for now, but if you're in 12.3 as well, you might as well stay out of the room. As is just enough. Okay. So we have the officer's recommendation on page 106. That is that council agreed to invite tenders for the construction of the permanent shade structure at the Wickham Recreation Precinct multi-purpose courts, based on the scope of works as outlined in the report. Can I have someone move this? Councillor Johansson, someone to second it. Councillor Swaffer. Anyone against the multi-purpose shade structure? No? Oh, would you? Shade is critical in this environment. Okay, if there's no one against, would you like to speak for it, Councillor Johansson?
Yeah, look, sitting on the Wickham Stakeholders Board, it's something that the community will really appreciate this, starting to progress. They've been wanting this for a while now. It seems Kelly's sometimes a lone voice on Wickham matters, and she'll really appreciate it, seeing it progressing.
Yeah, thank you. Good point. Councillor Swaffer.
Further to Councillor Johansson's, believe the consultation with regards to the shade has been really great as well. So it's gone out to community for consultation, and the shade and the improvements will be very welcomed by the community, and make it a year-round usable facility, which is really important.
Absolutely. I mean, just to think that from now on we have to always think about adding shade into any community infrastructure, because we can't expect people to just go out in the sun these days and sit out there in 42 degrees in weather. What we did as kids, I remember Dandy Primary School was being out at 51. I'm sure it was 51. Dandy
The violin
and the Perth schools, they shut down when it got to 37 or something, and we're up there at Dandy Primary School at 50 degrees playing out in the grass. So anyway, society has shifted.
Also, though, we know, and we measure temperatures a lot more than we used to.
I'm sure it was over 50.
And it would be without the shade, absolutely. And we test the temperature for basketball, and when you test it from a shaded point of view and a non-shaded point of view, it can be 20 degrees different.
Yeah.
On the concrete.
And the point, that's how widely important it is.
Yeah.
All right. Well, there's no one against that. That motion has carried. Next, sports boards
night.
Yeah. I could finally tell everyone we did it. Well, we haven't done it actually. We're doing it.
Doing it.
Okay, 12.2 is the Karratha Cleaning Services, the tender outcome, of which this has also been pulled from the agenda. We'll discuss with the proponents and have on the agenda for next month. 12.3 is the Wickham Oval Car Park and Playing Service Earthworks, the tender outcome, with the officer's recommendation on page 116. And that is a council acceptable tender submitted by North West Sand and Gravel as the most advantageous tender, and 2, authorise the CEO to enter into negotiations with North West Sand and Gravel to consider value management options. And that's all subject to Rio Tinto confirming funding to execute a contract. And 3, approved by absolute majority an increase to the city's project budget up to $12.12 million to be fully reimbursed by Rio Tinto to cover the cost of the project scope. So can I have someone move this motion? Councillor Walsh-Muller. Someone to second it? Councillor Johansson. Anyone against the motion? No, Councillor Walsh-Muller, would you like to speak?
Yeah, it's great to see local contractor being awarded this tender. I think it's fantastic that the city's undertaking this the renovations of the Oval and car park on behalf of Rio Tinto. Obviously, it is their asset, but it's great to see the city's obviously got a certain level that everything needs to be done within the city of Karratha. So it just means it's the playing ovals will be up to high standards and make sure that everything for our players' safety and drainage and quality will be met to the same standard. And I think it's great because, as we all know, people in Wickham love to play sport, so it's fantastic that everything will be brought back up to where it should be.
Yeah, well, people in Eastern Corridor are often, saying, well, Karratha people get all these things, but I think hopefully what they realise is that's because we have to work with Rio Tinto because it's their land, it's their assets, they've got the land tenure, they've got the state agreement. So, yeah, it does take a little bit longer, but we continue to move forward and make sure the community does get the outcomes that they need as well out there. Councillor Johansson, anything further to add?
No, you took the words right out of my mouth. Rio Tinto need to step up and look after their town a bit more. You get a lot of ratepayers complaining that Wickham and, even Roburn direction neglected from a city perspective. But, yeah, we're dealing with the tenure of Wickham and the control Rio has over it.
Yeah.
But it'll be great to see another project, happening.
Yeah, absolutely agree. If there's no one against it, that motion has carried. So we'll bring our people back in. For your information, 12.1 was carried, and 12.3 also carried. All right, 12.4 is the Karratha Golf Course Maintenance Compound and Shed Upgrade, the request to call for tenders, with the officer's recommendation on page 122. And as the council agreed to invite tenders for the construction and upgrade of the Karratha Golf Course Maintenance Compound and Shed, based on the scope of works outlined in the report. Can I have someone move this motion? Councillor Nunn, someone second it. Councillor Swaffer. Anyone against upgrading the maintenance compound and shed? Go for it. I don't think so. Councillor Nunn, would you like to speak for it?
Having spent some time at the golf course over the last couple of months, they are doing some amazing work out there. It is a beautiful venue. This is just the start, I think, of the things that we need to upgrade to continue to grow that facility as a great potential tourism offering for our community. So very keen to support.
Echo Councillor Nunn. It's exciting, and the transformation to it over the last 5 to 10 years has been amazing as well. So it's only going to continue to grow and be a great asset for the community.
It's another target to aim at.
Mm-hmm.
That's my excuse anyways, if you've got to the right Okay, if there's no one against that, that motion has carried. 12.5 is the Kevin Richards Memorial Oval Master Plan revision with the officer's recommendation on page 126. And as the council endorsed the revised master plan for Kevin Richards Memorial Oval, with the changes being budget amendment to reduce the 25-26 budget by 2.42 million, which we retain the infrastructure reserve and allocate the remaining budget to align with the revised master plan implementation as follows. So in the current budget is the car park formalisation, the multi-use hard course and lighting, and then the new pavilion design. The budget will move forward to the 25-26 year. And then agree, number 3 is agree to update the long-term financial plan to reflect the changes to the Kevin Richards Memorial Oval scope and the budget allocation. Someone move this motion? Councillor Walsh-Muller, someone to second it? Councillor Swaffer? Is anyone against this motion? Right, Councillor Walsh-Muller, would you like to speak for it?
I really love the design that's been put up by the administration. It's fantastic to see some more hard ports going in. As we know, we're all growing in the supporting side of things in town, and we're really looking forward to having a new pavilion design, and that obviously coming out of our community infrastructure plan to see what kind of needs and if you actually need to use that facility as to what we can do with it. So really exciting to have a look at that in the future, see it all being done.
Yeah, that's right. Councillor Swaffer.
Echo Councillor Walsh-Muller and also say thank you to administration for the additional information in the briefing that was provided as well.
Right, well, that has been carried. So now the Director of Projects Infrastructure can now go forth and find external funding bodies to help make this a reality. That is the job. Okay, right, that's carried. 13 is the Chief Executive Officer report. 13.1 being only, with the officer recommendation on page 134. And this noting the following items: the community experience update, the concession on fees for city facilities, development service update, the record of tender outcomes and delegation for the provision of graffiti removal services, and then just the public briefing notes and a table of report changes that were made. All right, can someone move the recommendation? Councillor Simpson, seconded. Councillor Swaffer, anyone against that? All information is accurate and relevant?
Absolutely, Mr. Mayor. I think it's a sign of the times when there's 390,000 in our budget to graffiti removal services. So as the city grows, those issues do come up. You have to get on it straight away and remove it to keep it. So yeah.
Could say something while I'm going to. Kathy.
I just like to see some of the program highlights at some of the youth centres as well, that they're changing up the program and bringing some bursts of energy, as it states in the report, which is really exciting. And I even, know personally my kids are starting to enjoy going down there. So I feel like the programs and that welcoming environment's really improved.
So stop that. That motion has passed. We'll go on to 13.2, which is the proposed amendment to the City of Karratha's advocacy position statements, the officer's recommendation on page 152, and that is that we adopt the advocacy position statements that are included in attachment 2. And for the benefit of those online, it's basically we're going to update the existing position statement related to the step up, step down facility in town, as because that advocacy has related and project happening. Include advocating for the Roebourne heavy vehicle deviation route to redirect heavy haulage traffic away from the Roebourne town site. And we're also going to put in our advocacy list to advocate for the final funding, which is approximately just north of 300 million to accelerate the delivery of the final stage, which is only 776 kilometres of the Marawara Red Dog Highway, which is the Karratha Tom Price Highway. So that's short 300 million. So we need to put that back on the agenda to try and get that road finished. And then we're also going to be calling for the delivery of cyclone-rated public marina at Dampier, recognising the needs to address marine safety, the infrastructure shortfalls, and the industry and tourism opportunity, and the fact that a marina is the catalyst for economic growth in the city. And then D, a new position seeking support for the vesting and redevelopment of the former Nickel Bay Hospital site for a Karratha Community Education Precinct, which is addressing the significant shortfalls in recreation and education infrastructure. And then 3, we're going to remove 2 existing position statements. That's the housing support program from Malataga. As we spoke before, the city was successful in getting $22.1 million in funding. So we can now take that off our advocacy list because we achieved it. And then B, Wellville Apartments, as that's off our advocacy list, as a few months ago, Council formally resolved not to proceed with that project. And there's some minor editorial refinements. So can I have someone move this motion? Councillor Roots, someone to second the motion? Councillor Gillam, anyone against this motion? Councillor Roots, would you like to speak for it?
Certainly. I would like to thank administration for their wins, all of the effort and resources that went into Malataga being a successful funding application. It's really important. Obviously also speak to the losses, as there are some, unfortunately completely out of our hands with the Wellville Apartments. I really appreciate that this is being kept very close eye on and sort of fortifying the upgrade of it, because these advocacy positions are really important, and it's shown our success. In the past, we've had a few, or I've had a few of our constituents at the Seniors Morning Tea come up and express the importance of our new advocacy positions with the Nickel Bay Hospital site. So it's great to have that formalised, and I know that that will make a lot of people really happy. Yeah, that's about it.
Thank you, Councillors. Councillor Gillam, anything further to add?
Just one quick point. That yeah, now that Maroojima were able to demonstrate the outstanding universal value required to earn their World Heritage status, that the finishing of the road between the Wollongong and Karratha to Maroojima essentially is incredibly important piece of work that that the mayor and the CEO now need to get on with.
Well, and I'm like, don't worry, I'm happy to take it on because I'm happy to take it on because the fact that it was federally funded and state funded and they just didn't finish it. I mean, if you commit to build the road, you finish the road. There's a gap in the funding, when you find the money, because the only people missing out is the community that you intended to build the road for. So I want to take that on. I've been fighting that battle since 2015 and still haven't finished it.
And tonight the council is going to mandate that you keep going.
Okay, there's no further addition of commentary. That motion has carried. We move on to 14, which is motions of which previous notice has been given. There are none. 15 is questions by members of which due notice has been given. There are none. 16, urgent business approved by the person presiding or by decision. Nothing. 17 is matters behind closed doors. We do have one item on there, so I'll have to ask the public to leave the room. That's it.